Hello from Florida, Yoga Kula. This week, I hope you had a chance to go over the email and see the emphasis on Mary Magdalene. I thought that would be a good theme since it's Holy Week and we're talking about hard decision making and patriarchy, and she's definitely a woman who made hard decisions and has been suppressed by patriarchy. The Gospel of Mary that I hope you had a chance to read through. There's another Gospel of Mary that's about Mary, mother of Jesus. So yes, that's the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And I wanted our theme today to be stay and pray. So when we can't fight or flight, we can stay and pray. So we're going to start sitting on the heels, and you'll notice I'm right up against the wall. So the theme of Mary Magdalene and the other Mary waiting outside the tomb, this is the immovable tomb before them, where they are staying, and I'm assuming praying. And so set up your mat long ways next to the wall, and then later we'll do it the other way, short way, up against the wall. And first we're going to bring the right foot so that the heel is really close to the sit bone. You'll start to feel the front of the shin light up. I have a little tidbit that I wrote this morning. The closest male disciples who had witnessed the conquering Jesus, Jesus who casts out demons, heals the sick, raises the dead, the Jesus who outwits the religious leaders, who passes unscathed through the murderous crowd, seem ill-equipped to remain and abide with the suffering Jesus. Peter will not even hear the words suffering and death when Jesus first speaks them. When the suffering Jesus appears, they run, they faint, they make evasive maneuvers. Bring your heel a little bit forward and then lift up the ball and the toes on that foot. The fight or flight strategies that had worked, that they had daily witnessed in Jesus himself, are no longer enough. It is time for stay and pray. This is what the female disciples seem better equipped to do. They stay at the cross. They stay at the tomb. They do not leave the one they love. What will staying and praying require of us? We will have to abide in immovable fear, immovable grief, immovable loss. And release that foot back down. So our wall here is a symbol of immovableness. So bend the left knee and bring that heel close in to the sit bone. You'll feel the shin firing up, kind of an uncomfortable sensation. Can we abide in the discomfort? And these are the verses we're drawing from. Matthew 27, 55 and 56, and then verse 61. Many women were there, watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. This is women who are at the cross. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. Just hold this for a moment longer, pondering that the women were able to stay at the cross when associating yourself with someone who is being crucified could very well mean you'd be the next one on the cross. And it seems only John of the male disciples was able to stay near. Then move the heel forward a little bit and lift the toes and the ball of the foot. And this is at the tomb. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. So I was thinking of that passage in Ephesians about after you have done all to stand, and they're sitting. I'd like it to say they were standing, but I think they were there for the long haul. So they're going to be there for as long as it takes, and that would mean that they'd have to sit down and wait. Alrighty, and then bring that ball of the foot down. And we're going to come to standing now. And be using the wall as our prop. So I'm going to stand with my right foot towards the wall, and I'm going to bring it's kind of angled actually, the elbow higher than the shoulder and the palm facing the wall, and then press into the palm. My left fingertips are pressing against the wall, and then turn away from that right arm and get a nice pectoral stretch. Actually, it doesn't feel nice. It feels pretty strenuous, right? This immovable wall, like the immovables of fear and grief and loss, they stretch us in a way that can be very uncomfortable and hard to be with. And unwind that. We're going to do the other side. Bring the left elbow up higher than the shoulder, palm facing fingertips of the right hand are on the wall. And then I'm turning my hips and pelvis to kind of be perpendicular to the wall. Press that left hand into the wall. And I'm not leaning against the wall, but just pressing that lower arm into the wall and the fingertips into the wall really opens up across the front of the shoulder and the outer edge of the chest, especially with that little push of the left hand into the wall. Digging deep into that ujjayi triumphant breath to hold the pose and unwind. Then I have us doing Tadasana at the wall. So I'm actually touching my back to the wall, and that chest opener should help you to get the shoulder blades onto the wall. The heels can be any amount away from the wall. Maybe if the heels are all the way touching, you feel it almost like it's a back bend because of your anatomy. You can move the heels a little bit forward, but they're hip width apart, slight bend in the knees, and then bring the palms facing back into the wall. Shoulder blades are squeezing towards the spine, back of the skull is pressing into the wall. So occiput is the back of the skull, shoulder blades, sacrum are all touching. And then there should be an arch in the low back, an arch in the neck. And just feel what that's like. You can flip the palms out if that helps you to keep the shoulders rolling back. And then inhale, sweep the arms up and interlace the fingers overhead, keeping the index and thumbs together. So it's kind of like a steeple position. And then we're going to lean to the right, breathing into the left side, and back to center, and lean to the left, and feel how the wall changes. These postures that we've done so many times before, but then this new thing, this immovable thing comes into our life, and we have to dig in a different way to these things that have been familiar. And release the arms down. I'm going to step the feet a little bit more forward, knees bent. Hands are just above the knees with the thumbs to the inside, and we're going to do cat-cow standing. So arch the back, lift the heart, lift the gaze, and exhale, round. You might feel the legs straighten a little bit. Inhale, arch, and exhale, round. And a few more times, just following the breath. Many years ago, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have an art exhibit where you painted your hands and feet and maybe the edges of your body, and then printed those in the position you were up against walls and floor so that people could get into those shapes with you. So look at where our feet are. Look at where we meet the wall. If you saw those prints on the floor and on the wall, you could align your body to feel what the person who was in that position felt. And I'm hoping that in this class we can kind of get into the mindset of Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting across from the tomb by getting into a position similar to the one they were in. All right, we're gonna, you knew we were gonna do this one if we're doing a wall. We're gonna come into a chair pose. So wiggle down to a depth that you feel like you can sustain for a little while. Pressing the hands into the wall, the shoulder blades into the wall, the back of the head into the wall, and digging into the breath. This variation of Utkatasana. We have done so many times before, right? The female disciples are doing what they had done before when they were with the conquering Jesus. But now they're doing those things without him. And the suffering Jesus is the one that they are staying near. A few more cycles of breath. Just the challenge of abiding in a new way. And use the hands to press into the wall and come up. And we're going to do a low lunge, something we've done so many times, with the hip to the wall. So right foot is forward, right angle with the knee over the ankle, or a little bit behind but not in front of. And then we're on the left knee, and we're going to turn this into a twist. So bring the fingertips onto the wall to turn the torso. Feeling that line of energy from the base of the spine up through the crown of the head. Abiding with these immovables of grief and pain and loss. Staying and praying. And release. Whew. And we're going to sit like we do for child's pose with the knees wide and the toes touching. But we're going to do that anahatasana, so hands come up the wall and chest comes forward. We've done this, it's called puppy pose, but it's anahatasana, heart opening. Anahata is heart. So you can come close enough that the chest would even touch the wall, chin touch the wall. Staying and praying with the immovables. Another round of breath. do that low lunge with the left hip to the wall this time. I like to tuck my back toes. They say it takes pressure off the knee a little bit. And then turning the core towards this immovable wall. And getting tall from the tail to the crown. Pressing, especially that left hand into the wall to get that twist in the spine. And unwind. And we're going to turn this into a high lunge. So right hip again at the wall, but left leg is straight and we're up on the ball of the left foot. And I'm going to straighten that right arm behind me at shoulder height, press that palm into the wall, and use the left fingertips to turn. It's another variation of that pectoral stretch. Getting steady in the breath. Having to do things differently with the new challenges that are before us. And release. Woo. And we're going to come into Malasana. So bring the feet a little further than hip width apart and sink down. So the back is at the wall, back of the skull, shoulders, sacrum. I'm finding I can really close my eyes a lot in this class. It's a meditative one. But see if you can pull up the pelvic floor, pull back with the belly so that we have a long line of energy from the tail to the crown. This Malasana squat feels different with the wall supporting us from behind. We can be a little more upright. And so often we want ease in our life, we want things to go well, but it's when we're in the crucible of what's hard and what we would never ask for or seek that we really get strong. That our intentions become super clear, our priorities are in better alignment. And release. We're going to set up for that high lunge with the left foot forward. So bring the left hip to the wall. Boop. I have this. My feet already went to a warrior pose. We're not there yet. So we're on the ball of the right foot. And then reach the left arm back at shoulder height. Fingertips on the wall. Adjusting feet for balance. Pressing that left hand in. Pressing the right fingertips in to turn the chest forward. How do we stay and pray with the immovable things in our life? And rise up, turn. You're going to heel toe the feet in and come into a standing forward fold. So my feet are about 4 inches away from the wall. And just hang for a moment. The sit bones are against the wall. You can grasp the elbows with the opposite palm. Maybe sway from side to side. Like women in grief, swaying and crying. the wall to press in and rise up. I'm going to turn my mat now so that the short side is touching. We'll do the rest of our poses this way. All right. You're gonna come up into that Tadasana at the wall again. So heads of the shoulders back, so the shoulder blades can be against the wall. And then we're going to do some calf raises. So you can put the palms against the wall again. Inhale and lift. Exhale and lower. A little easier to do these with that support, but also the reminder of the wall is helping us get in better alignment through the shoulders, neck, and head. And oftentimes I find my chin is falling forward, like my natural position is this. But the back of the wall reminds us to pull the head back. So the ears actually are over the shoulders and the shoulders are over the hips. A couple more. Building up a little heat. Not as much heat as is in the front of my legs because we got burnt so badly yesterday. We're going to turn this into a down dog at the wall. So I'm going to away from the wall just a little bit and then walk the hands out till they're shoulder width apart and bring the heels back against the wall. So here's our down dog. You can bend the right knee and look under the left arm. And bend the left knee and look under the right. And just follow the pattern of the breath. Again, that swaying action. It can be so soothing when we meet the immovable of pain, the immovable of grief, the immovable of loss. We're going to come forward to plank, bringing the shoulders over the wrists. And bring the soles of the feet back against the wall. So the toes are on the mat, the heels are on the wall, the soles of the feet are on the wall. And then pulling up through the core, bringing the heart forward a little bit. Whew. A lot of strength being engaged. And then pull back to down dog again, bringing the heels down. So just the back of the heels are against the wall. And feel how that solidity gives feedback to the body. Tells you where you are in space. Tells you what it's time to be doing. Makes you more present in parts of you that kind of go into shadow. And then rolling forward till shoulders are over wrists. Bring the heels and the soles of the feet onto the wall for plank again. Having the tailbone reach towards that back wall. And heart reach forward. Core engaged. Digging into our willpower. And hips rise, come back into down dog. Few breaths here. You can shake the head, yes. But yes, we have the inner strength to stay and pray, to be with the immovables of pain and grief and loss. And toes on the mat, heels up the wall, last plank pose. Feel easier this time. And back to down dog. And then walk the hands back towards the feet to come up. Walk the feet a little forward of the wall to have space. And we're going to bring a foot up the wall at hip height. So you can just kind of eyeball it for now. We'll have another one where we actually measure. And my foot, hope you can see enough, is hip height against the wall. Whew. And then both feet are facing forward. Inhale the arms up. Pressing both feet firmly into what is immovable. And then sweep the arms down. Hands to the hips. I'm going to bend this leg on the wall so I can swivel this standing leg. And then come, woo, and extend the arms out. So this is kind of like Ardha Chandrasana at the wall. It's also like Supta Hasta Padangusthasana, which we've done on the floor where we're holding a strap around the foot. Feel that hip opening. And then bend that right knee a little bit. Swivel the foot back so that you're facing the wall. Straighten both legs, arms up. And then turn and face towards that rising leg. Big twist here. Pressing into the wall and the floor to have the strength to stay steady. And then turn back, arms up, bending that right knee and bringing that foot down. Lovely. I have us doing something in between. Wall dog. So while we're here, we can bring the hands hip height and come into a wall dog. Just to release the back a little bit. And rise up. Same thing, other side. So left foot comes onto the wall. Adjust so it's hip height. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, sweep the arms down. Hands to hips. Bend that left knee so that you can swivel the right foot and then straighten back out and reach both arms out, shoulder height. Nice long line from that right heel up through the crown of the head. Expanding despite the presence of these immovables. Radiating out from the heart. And turn that back in. Swivel that right foot again. Inhale the arms up. And turn towards that left leg, reaching left arm back and right arm forward, keeping tall through the crown of the head, and up again, and sweep down, hands on the wall, about where the feet had been, to come into wall dog. See if you can keep a little core engagement by pulling the bottom ribs up. So not just pouring out and getting weaker, but staying strong. And rise up. All right. We are going to switch to the other side. So we're going to do a very traditional pose for our class. Virabhadrasana 2. I'm going to bring the outer edge of my right foot against the wall and then step the left foot out so that the heel is in line with the back heel or the arch, whichever feels better. The knee is tracking towards the middle two toes. You can see the big toe. And then the right hand comes onto the wall, shoulder height, and the left arm reaches out forward. And maybe you find that front heel can move a little forward so that the arms can lengthen evenly. Pressing that outer edge of the back foot into the wall, pressing that back hand into the wall really changes this posture for me. It feels very strengthening. So I'm going to stay here. Stay and pray in the immovables. Keeping our eyes fixed. It's over that middle finger of the front hand. Fixed on the one we love. Being loyal to him no matter what. And then straighten that front leg. Reach the upper body out, out, out till we can't go any further. And then left hand can come down onto the shin. Right hand can reach up. Heart is turning up. Heel of the right hand is in line with the heart. Gaze is at the thumb. Reaching from tailbone to crown. Everything in alignment with that highest priority. Staying with the suffering Jesus. Not going into fight or flight, but staying and praying. And bend that front knee again, rising up one more time in this warrior two. Fill up with the solidity of this posture so that you know you have it within you to stay and to pray. Nice. And then turn the left feet, press off the wall to come in for a moment. And we're going to do that same thing on the other side. So outer edge of the left foot, and then right foot comes forward so that the heels are in good alignment. Left hand on the wall, right hand reaching forward. See if you can see big toe, little next toe in line so that knee is tracking to the outside of the foot. And then get tall through the crown of the head, pressing into that wall, into the immovables of pain and grief and loss. But because we can stay and pray, we can abide with the one we love. Just breathing in the strength of this posture. And then straighten that front leg, reach, reach, reach. The left hand comes off the wall, right hand comes down to the shin. The left hand comes up, reaching up. That front leg, there's an outer spiral and maybe a micro bend in the knee. Getting long from tail to crown, pressing that left foot against the wall. And rise up again, coming into warrior two. Deep and steady breaths. Steady with our focus. Steady in our power to stay and pray. And turn the right foot in, press off the wall. I hope you can see this well. This is a really cool variation of side angle, which we've done so many times. We're going to do it differently this time because we have this immovable with us. So we're going to bring the right foot up the wall about a leg's distance and then turn the left foot out. There's a bend in this right knee, so we're kind of leaning this, the hip isn't directly over the heel, we're kind of leaning towards the wall. And then you can bring the right fingertips onto the wall And then the upper arm is pushing against the knee, and the knee can push into the arm. And then we lift the left arm up and over. The pinky side of the hand is facing the wall. Lifting the chin up. Turning the gaze under that raised arm. And breathe, digging into the breath here. Reaching through the crown. And unwind. Whew. And we're going to change sides. So left leg goes up the wall. Knees bending. Turning the right foot out. And left fingertips come next to the foot. Whew. Pressing that upper arm into the leg and the leg into the arm. And then reaching up and over with the right hand. Palm facing back behind you. Gaze facing up. Just the elevation we get from prayer. It lifts our eyes up. I can even feel that when I'm meditating. My eyes are closed, but if my mind gets distracted, I can feel my eyes turn down, like I'm thinking of earthly things. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I lift my eyes back up on the inside, behind the eyelids, back up to God. You do that with the face and the gaze lifting up. And release. Ooh. This is a big stretch. We're going to come down into seated Dandasana as a break and as to prepare for our next poses. So shimmy back to the wall. Hands beside the hips. Feet flexing back. Shoulder blades making good contact with the wall. And just resetting that plumb line from tail to crown. First things first. What do they say? First things first, second things not at all. Keeping our highest priority, like Mary and the other Mary. Staying near the one they love. Alrighty. I'm going to take my heels and kind of dig them into the mat. So dig. And we're going to use those spots that creates as our measurement for doing some Ardha Chandrasana at the wall. So before those disappear, bring your right foot up to that heel indentation and bring your left leg to the wall, hip height. You need to adjust a little bit. This is fun. You press into the hands and you can hop that foot back. Just get around there. All right. And then we're going to turn that top foot so that it's facing off to the left. Keep the right fingertips on the floor. Forward of the right foot and off to the side, and then start to turn the core to reach that left arm up high. You can gaze down and see those toes. It's something we're supposed to do when we're in Ardha Chandrasana without the wall, but often if we do that, we're going to fall. So you can kind of see that straight line from heel through tailbone through crown, and see how that immovable is actually helping us to be more steady. Definitely more steady in prayer. When things are not going well, we pray a lot more, don't we? And then turn, that left hand comes back to the floor, left toes pointing down. Now we're going to keep the left fingertips on the floor and reach the right arm up off to the side. The immovables of pain and grief and loss can help us to stay, because they're not going anywhere either. And down. Woo! And then bring the left foot down, even with where the right is, and bring the right foot back, hip height. So at first the toes are pointing down, then we're gonna prepare for Ardha Chandrasana at the wall. So left fingertips are kind of TPing up off to the left of that front foot. So like one foot forward, one foot off to the side, then turn that right foot. Feel how that opens the hip, and then reach up with the right arm. Heart is turning and lifting, and feel that lightness flying, but that rootedness that comes from the foot at the wall pressing in and that foot on the floor pressing in, so that we can rise to the occasion. Turning our heart upward. And then right fingertips come to the floor, right toes pointing down, and then start to turn. You'll feel that left hip pulling back as the left arm reaches up. And then get length from tail to crown. Heart coming over to the left now. And release. Woo! And we're going to come back into that seated Dandasana again to get our little measurement here. As you can see, that's a whole leg length, but also to let the heart rate come down a little bit. So hands are next to the hips, shoulder blades walking in towards the spine. Back of the head pressing back into the wall. And just have a moment of staying and praying. And Jesus told the disciples, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And Lord, help us to have a love that's stronger than our flesh's weakness. And take the heels and dig them in to get that little spot. And then we're going to place the hands shoulder width apart at that distance. And we're going to prepare for handstand. So if you have a shirt that's going to flop down over your face, you can tuck it in now. This one isn't that bad. So first we're in a down dog with the toes on the floor and the heels up the wall a little bit. It's a little shorter than our usual down dog. And then we're going to start to walk the feet up the wall. And when I first do this, my feet are much higher than my hips. And then you try and get them down as low as your hips, and that will bring your shoulders over the wrist creases. And then if you feel steady and strong, you can lift one leg. And I'm pointing the foot, drawing in the belly, getting long from tail to crown. And then right foot back on the floor, press out and lift the left leg. And then feet come down, toes to the wall, knees wide, and we'll come into child's pose. So just a brief handstand. And sometimes when I'm in this child's pose after a handstand, I like to reach my hands around to touch my feet so that the shoulders feel like they really release forward and down. And use that pressure of the immovable of the floor against the forehead to pull the skin down towards the nose, to steady the mind, to quiet everything, breathing into the back. Lord, help us to stay and pray. when we meet the immovables of pain and grief and loss. And rise up. And I'm going to do Baddha Konasana at the wall. So soles of the feet come together. Sacrum against the wall, shoulder blades against the wall, back of the head against the wall. You can draw the heels as close as is comfortable. Knees going wide. If we train the knees wide, then they go down instead of forcing them down. Press the balls of the feet together, the heels together, and the toes feather out like a little flower. And just rest here in Baddha Konasana, remembering Mary and the other Mary sitting opposite the tomb, waiting, still loving Jesus. Even though he wasn't the conquering Jesus for them anymore, he was the suffering Jesus. And it was their turn to abide with him, to take care of him, instead of being the one that's rescued and provided for. And come off the wall. We're going to do we're going to do our Viparita Karani. So I'm going to bring my right hip up to the wall and then swivel so that the legs go up the wall, but the hips are pretty close to the wall. And if you have a pillow and you like that, I'll show you. Here's a pillow at our house here. You can have that a little bit away from the wall, like 6 inches, so that you can have the tailbone drape over and the low back is supported, which can feel nice. This is going to be our Shavasana pose. So you can decide what you're going to do with the arms. They can be hands on belly, one hand on heart, one hand on low belly to feel the breath, or even arms out, kind of goalpost arms with the back of the hands, or even hands behind the head and neck. I thought it would be nice in our Shavasana to find a hymn or a poem about Mary Magdalene, and Charles Wesley wrote one. And because of the time, there are 7 stanzas. So you can close your eyes and sink in and relax while I read these to you. Happy Magdalene, to whom Christ the Lord vouchsafed to peer, newly risen from the tomb, would he first be seen by her? Her by 7 devils possessed, till his word the fiends expelled, quenched the hell within her breast, all her sins and sickness healed. Yes, to her the Master came. First his welcome voice she hears. Jesus calls her by her name. He the weeping sinner cheers. Lets her to his drooping friends tidings of their living Lord. First in her report they find, she must spread the gospel word, teach the teachers of mankind. Highly favored soul, to her farther still his grace extends, raises the glad messenger, sends her to his drooping friends. Tidings of their living Lord, first in her report they find, she must spread the gospel word, teach the teachers of mankind. Who can now presume to fear? who despair his Lord to see? Jesus, wilt thou not appear? Show thyself alive to me? Yea, my God, I dare not doubt. Thou shalt all my sins remove. Thou hast cast a legion out. Thou wilt perfect me in love. Surely thou hast called me now. Now I hear the voice divine. At thy wounded feet I bow, wounded for those sins but mine. But I have nailed him to the tree. I have sent him to the grave. But the Lord is risen for me. Hold of him by faith I have. Here forever I would lie. Didst thou not thy servants raise? Send me forth to testify all the wonders of thy grace. Lo, I at thy bidding go, gladly to thy followers tell. They their rising God may know, they the life of Christ may feel. Hear ye, brethren of the Lord, such as he vouchsafes to call. O believe the gospel word, Christ hath died and rose for all. Turn ye from your sins to God, haste to Galilee and see him who brought thee with his blood, him who rose to live in thee. And if you'd like to, you can bring the soles of the feet together, sliding them down the wall to come a little more in that Baddha Konasana shape. Then extend that left leg up the wall and bring the right ankle across the top of the left thigh, flexing the foot. And if that feels good, you can stay there. Or you can bring the sole of the right foot down and get a little more of a hip opener. Using the immovables of our lives to stay and pray. To be true to the suffering Jesus. And then straighten the left leg, straighten the right, cross the left ankle across the top of the right thigh. Maybe slide the foot down, feeling that opening in the left hip. Getting that feedback from this immovable wall that helps you feel this very familiar pose in a whole new way. It requires something different of us. And then straighten the right leg, straighten the left. If you are on a support, you can lift the hips and come back down. Then walk the feet down the wall and kind of waddle the hips back. Reach the right arm up overhead and roll to the right side and rest in the fetal position for a breath or two. Use the hands to press into the floor and come up into a comfortable seated position with the eyes closed. Inhale the arms up overhead and palms come together at the heart. Jesus, help us when we have hard decisions to make. Help us when we face the trials of patriarchy that would tell us that we have to be small and that we don't have a voice. To remember Mary Magdalene and to speak and to act and to cultivate that ability to stay and pray when we're with those immovables of pain and grief and loss. Lord, help us to be steadfast in our love for you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I hope you enjoyed that class, and I'll see you after Easter, so God bless.